So thank you guys for having us. We're super excited to hear about all of this. I didn't even know it existed, so I'm really intrigued and interested. So yeah, introduce yourselves, your name, position, and then just everything about where you work.
All right, so my name is Diana. I work here at the Black River and Western Railroad as a volunteer, and currently I am serving on the advertising committee. So I'm doing social media, I do website work, SEO, things like that.
Cool.
And my name is Ryan. I also work here at the Black River and Western. My position is the chairman of the steam committee, so I oversee the operation of our steam locomotive, ensure that it's maintained to a certain level and make sure it's safe for everybody. They also serve on the board of directors for the trust.
Cool.
That's awesome. Can you guys give us a little bit of a history for those who don't know, where everything started and kind of how it got to where it is today?
That's this guy.
So
he's gonna take this one.
Yeah, so the railroad was built in 1854 to move goods and people. Back then, there weren't trucks, there weren't planes. To get from A to B, you took the train.
Mm-hmm.
So the railroad was constructed from from Lambertville to Flemington. Here in Ringo's, this was one of the stops that they made along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, you lived along the railroad, and that's how you got to different places. So from here, you could go anywhere. You take the train to Trenton, and you go out to wherever you want to go. So back then, that's how people moved. And freight, like I said, there were no trucks on the road, so trains were the way that freight, goods, and services were moved. There was a lot of agriculture moved out here in Hunterdon County. That's primarily what the railroad moved.
Wow.
And what it was built for.
So now today it's not active, I'm assuming?
So the railroad was taken over in the 1960s by a group of volunteers who bought a steam locomotive, bought passenger cars to essentially preserve the history. So around the 1950s, railroads were dying off. Specifically, steam railroading was dying off. A lot of railroads were converting over to diesel power. So this railroad was actually one of the first to become a tourist railroad. So they bought a steam locomotive that was decommissioned. They bought passenger cars that were no longer used. They brought them here. They restored them, and they started a tourist passenger business between Flemington and Ringo's for tourism in the area for families that could come out and ride on the weekends.
That's awesome.
That's so cool.
So it just goes from Flemington to Ringo's back and forth.
Yeah, so the railroad currently runs from Three Bridges to Lambertville.
Okay.
That's the track they bought. Primarily, we operate between Ringo's and Flemington.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
And how did you guys get involved with volunteering here?
Oh my gosh. So the two of us have been best friends since first grade, I would say. So you can imagine it's been a very long time. In high school, he asked me if I wanted to come work here at the railroad as a Christmas elf for Santa Claus. And I said, sure, sign me up. And so that was 7 years ago. And although I'm not a Christmas elf anymore, thankfully I aged out. So I'm not a Christmas elf anymore. But like I said, I've been doing the social media for a while here now. I get involved as a trainman, car attendant on board. And basically I just try to be a familiar face for a lot of our passengers.
Yeah, so I started here about 10 years ago. I live in the area, and I've always had a passion for railroading, specifically steam railroading. So given that I was in the area, I've been coming here my whole life, riding the train. And as soon as I became of age to start volunteering, I went right in and started.
That's awesome. Very cool. So everyone who works here is a volunteer, and you primarily run on the weekends, you said, right?
So everyone who works here is a volunteer except the ticket agents.
Okay.
So the ticket agents are paid employees, but everyone else who participates is a volunteer. So the guy driving the train, the conductors, the trainmen, everyone you see is a volunteer.
Wow. Awesome.
Can you tell us a little bit about the different rides? I saw there's a few different themed rides, it looks like, probably for different seasons and stuff like that.
Yes. So in the summer, we run the Black River Limited, which is just a classic round trip ride through Hunterdon County. It's more of a scenic appreciation ride for our passengers. Then when fall comes around, we run our pumpkin train. We have a pumpkin patch along the train line. And so you can stop and get off there, and they do pumpkin picking. They have a corn maze, hay rides, things like that. That's really popular. Then we move on to our North Pole Express, where everyone can meet Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus. You get off here, and this is the North Pole. So you wouldn't believe it. We decorate this place, and it turns into the North Pole, and we have people coming back year after year after year, and everyone loves the North Pole Express.
That's so fun.
And then we do the Easter Bunny Express. So that is basically, again, you get on, most of our rides originate in Flemington. So you get on in Flemington, come down here to Ringo's, and we set up an Easter egg hunt in the parking lot. So
cool.
yeah, so that is another very popular one.
Nice.
So, and then most recently we've introduced the Hunterd and Wine Express. Have you guys seen anything about that?
No,
I briefly.
that's so fun.
Yeah.
So there's a winery that's here in Ringo's called Old York Cellars.
Okay.
You ride the train from Flemington to Ringo's with like a wine concierge, and they give you a bunch of history about the wine. You get off the train here in Ringo's, and they bus you over to the winery for lunch, chocolates, music, a bunch of other fun stuff over there at the winery.
Cool.
So that is really popular.
That's such a good
Wow.
idea. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Thank you. So I've heard it's fun. I haven't been yet.
It sounds like you do, like, there's rides kind of for everyone. It sounds like there's some for families and some for, adults and stuff. Like, I guess from a marketing perspective, like, how do you kind of look at that as far as like who your audience is and who's the type of people you're trying to attract to the railroad?
Primarily, we work on marketing towards families with young children, just because you can imagine that the Pumpkin Patch, Santa Claus, and the Easter Bunny are all like families with young children activities. We do some stuff for the railroad fans. They're called rail fans, but those for the most part sell themselves. So we do things like photo charters and like special events and have the rail fans come out, and it's just such a like robust community that people see these tickets go on sale and they're like, all right, let's go. They don't even think about it. They don't think about the price. They don't think about anything. So he's victim.
It's true.
I would love to know, like, do you have any, I guess not necessarily like fun facts, but just like general information about like railroads that like the common person like would not know, or just like any history on it that you find like people would be really interested in coming to learn about?
Yeah, I think the thing that a lot of people are surprised about is the age of the equipment. A lot of people will ask, how old are the coaches? Our cars are just about over 100 years old.
Wow.
And so I think that takes a lot of people back. And obviously running the steam locomotive, it's 80 years old, and for people to see something that old still operate always surprises people, and it's really the reason why they keep coming back.
So when you say steam locomotive, it's literally run by steam?
Yeah, it's a coal-fired authentic
Wow.
steam locomotive that was built, like I said, over 80 years ago, and still operates the same way it did when it was built.
Wow.
It's one of very few in New Jersey. So
And in the country, there's
Yeah.
not many that still operate in the country. And to have a group of people that are knowledgeable, still knowledgeable to operate and maintain it is
I was going to say,
within
who
itself.
knows like how to fix something
There's-
if something breaks? Like, who's making these parts?
Yeah, you can't go to Walmart and buy them. You have to make them all yourself.
Wow.
So we have a machinist who makes all the parts for us, and it's a labor of love. It's an art that is not very common in America anymore, so it's a very unique thing to have here.
Yeah. Why do you feel like it's important to preserve this type of history? Like, what can people kind of like get from this that like they might not necessarily get from something else?
It's the way America operated, 100 years ago, and I think it's pretty important to preserve that history, to see how people moved 100 years ago, specifically to Hunterdon County, learn about, the mode of transportation that people used to go from A to B, how the freight moved, how, fruit was delivered to the farm stands, you know, how somebody bought a tractor. It was all brought in by the railroad. So I think, like I said, I think it's pretty important that people know how things ran over 100 years ago.
That's awesome.
What do you guys love most about volunteering here?
The people. So I love both the people that we volunteer with, and then I also love the passengers. So we get a lot of, as you can imagine, a lot of young children who are in that Thomas the Tank Engine phase, who are like head over heels obsessed with every single thing that's happening here. And it's just, honestly, it's like invigorating to see them show up. And even on bad days or like days when it's so hot outside and I'm like, oh, I just want to go home. Those kids show up and you're like, oh, this is why I do this. So that's what I think.
Yeah, I agree with the people, especially the people who we work with here. We all have the same interests. To get together on a weekend and volunteer our time. You know, we have a lot to talk about, a lot of knowledge to share. And I think it's really cool to learn how to maintain and operate equipment from different people, because all this knowledge is passed down.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of people who have been here since the beginning, some of them. And that knowledge has been passed down from actual railroaders who ran 100 years ago. Their knowledge was passed down to them. And now that generation's passing that knowledge down to our generation.
Yeah, and
Are you finally making your guide?
My guide?
Yes, for the steam engine, how to maintain it.
Oh, yeah.
So it's all just been verbal so far. So I keep telling him he needs to like write a book so we can all figure it out one day.
That's definitely a good idea. Get it in writing.
Yes.
How do you feel like this has become like a pivotal part of Hunterdon County? Do you feel like it's something that, you know, you're proud of, like, you know, the community is proud of, and something that, you know, has kind of like left a stamp like in this area?
So I definitely think that the community is proud, but I think that we are currently underutilized. I think there are a lot of people that have lived in Flemington for their entire lives and unfortunately still don't know that we exist. So as a nonprofit and as volunteers, we've been trying our best to get the name out. In the last couple of years, it's definitely improved.
Yeah, I'm sure social media helps too.
Yeah.
I feel
yeah,
like
for
that's,
sure.
like,
The social media helps.
Great way. And by the way, your social media is great.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I feel like it's a powerful tool, and if you use it right, you really can reach like so many people.
Definitely.
So that's awesome.
So social media is definitely like our number one advertising venture. So just because a lot of it is free. So and then I think we are really invested in like showing the community that we exist. So I do think that we are one of the few tourist attractions in Hunterdon County that gets people from all over. I remember the first year I was here as a Christmas elf, somebody told me that they came to ride our North Pole Express from Canada.
Oh my
And I was like, what are you doing in Flemington? Why? So I was like, how did you get here? And I think that was the first thing that it really made me realize that like, wow, people love what we do. People love our history. People love the steam engine, and that they're willing to travel thousands of miles to come and see what's going on. And so I just hope that we can start getting some of those people that are only tens of miles away to come appreciate what we're doing.
Very cool.
I guess what's like one thing that you would want people that don't know what you do here, if you could like have one thing kind of stick with them about what you do, what would that be?
You got anything? I have something maybe.
You go first.
Okay. I think I want everyone to know that we are a volunteer organization. So that, again, that's definitely a very big part of it. We're all here because it's a labor of love. We're all giving our time to this organization, and basically, yeah, it's just we're all volunteers. So I think a lot of people think we are paid employees and that we are out there on the rails for 8 hours for the money, but it's for fun. So, and it sounds crazy, but
Are you like currently looking for volunteers, or are you fully staffed?
Always.
Okay.
We're always looking for volunteers. So
Nice.
anyone, if you have a talent, doesn't matter what it is, we'll find something for you to do.
Nice.
So there are always tasks that need to be completed. So,
Cool.
and you don't even necessarily need to have any sort of background in railroading, machinery, any of those things. A lot of people show up here and they don't know anything, and they just learn from the people around them.
Yeah.
That's how I started. You know, everything is taught on site, you know.
Cool. What can people expect when they come? Like, kind of walk us through the process of someone's first time here. Like, do you have any tips? Do you have any suggestions? You know, anything like that?
So I would definitely say to do your research about what train ride we're running at the time, because as you can imagine, things like the Pumpkin Train and the North Pole Express and the Easter Bunny Express all have lots of kids on them. And then obviously the 100 and Wine train is geared towards adults. So I would definitely say that the first thing that people need to do is they need to research and figure out which train ride they're getting into before they show up. And the second thing I'm going to say is that they need to check their email to see which station they're departing at.
That's important.
Yes. So you wouldn't believe how many people we have showing up at the wrong station.
Oh,
So yeah,
no.
but most of our excursions start in Flemington. So,
Okay.
but confirmation email, that's a very important part.
That's something I would do. I'd probably drive to the wrong place.
Oh, it's horrible. I always feel so bad. So, or if you show up late, we're like, oh, well, there goes the train. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. So, but no, we really, really try to encourage people through these confirmation emails and through like notes on the website. We're like, show up 15 minutes early, show up to the right station, call us and make sure you're coming to the right station. Like, triple check. So that's definitely what I would say for someone on their first time at the Black River and Western.
Yeah, I think she pretty much covered it.
Nice. I feel like this would be such a fun. Do you guys do like birthday parties and stuff
Yes.
like that? I feel like this would be such a fun.
Yeah, you
birthday
can
party.
rent the train out.
Really?
Yep, the entire thing.
That's crazy.
That's a really cool idea.
We have
Yeah.
we call it the parlor car, or the club car. It's called the club car. It has a bar inside. It has table seating.
Oh, that's so fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's
So-
like the capacity for that?
40
Okay.
people,
Okay.
I believe.
Very
Wow,
cool.
that's really cool.
Yeah,
That's
and then
fun.
we also have an authentic little red caboose.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
that everyone loves the little red caboose. So it's really popular. We rent that out year round, but it's especially popular during the North Pole Express trains to
Okay.
rent that out. Like people, it's gonna sound crazy, but we are going to be putting tickets on sale for November in the next few weeks, and
my
they're gonna
gosh.
sell. And
Oh, wow.
so yeah, and
Wow.
people
People are already asking.
yes.
They start asking in the spring.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, sometimes for those people that want to do those private rentals, we book them before anything's even on sale, just because they are willing to commit to those private rentals.
Yeah.
So
That's really cool.
That's so neat. Yeah.
yeah, and then we also do things like again in the club car you can do birthday parties. Recently we had I believe we had a bridal shower. We have retirement
Wow.
parties, anniversaries. It's
Wow.
literally anything you can think of, and our customer service manager is extremely helpful with booking and planning and organizing. So she's really, really very dedicated into making sure that people have a good experience.
That's awesome. It's like a really cool, like unique event too, even for someone that's
Yes.
not particularly like into trains necessarily. It's you could still have so much fun doing like a unique
Yeah, it's very
event
unique
like that.
for people.
Yeah.
It's just fun looking out the window. So honestly, I mean,
Something different.
you see so many things, and yeah, again, it is something different. It's not another restaurant or fire hall or something like that. And what a lot of people I think don't know is that we are willing to work with people to ensure that they have an affordable experience. So we don't price gouge, we don't do anything like that. So we're really proud of the product we're selling, and we want to make sure that the people in the community know that we are a resource and we're available.
That's really cool.
So,
Do you guys offer like I feel like this would be a great spot for what's it called, field trips or like any events like that?
We've always wanted to do that. That's been something, I mean,
Yeah, I feel
we've
like that'd
thrown
be
around like
awesome.
summer camp ideas
Yeah,
and stuff like
definitely.
that. So, I mean, unfortunately, with the fact that we're all volunteers, it's like, it's more so a matter of manpower than it
Gotcha.
is a matter of ideas, because again, we have them.
There's endless, yeah.
So yeah, we've had ideas like the field trips and summer camps and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
that would be so cool. So where can everyone find you? Kind of like give us the rundown. Website, Instagram, you know, where are you located, all of that good stuff.
So the website is blackriverrailroad.com. The Instagram is Black River Railroad. We are also on Facebook. We are on YouTube. We are sending out a monthly newsletter. And you can also find us through like a lot of online directories for Hunterdon County and the Flemington area.
Okay,
Cool.
Just for the people watching, like if they have any sort of interest in the Pumpkin Train or the North Pole Express trains, I definitely just recommend booking early. So like I said, we have people that buy months and months and months out, and then it'll be like the week of, and people are like, oh, we want to come ride the train, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we've been sold out for 4 months. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we just physically don't have a place to put you. So I mean, thankfully, like I said, with the amount of volunteers we have and the people who are dedicated to their positions, we have been expanding and adding more and more train rides than literally ever before, I believe. So thankfully, we are growing towards handling a larger capacity. But again, I would just say definitely buy tickets in advance, and especially for those popular ones, the pumpkin trains, the North Pole, and the Easter trains.
Cool. Thank you guys so much for having us. This is so fun and interesting, and I can't wait to come back. We definitely have to make this like a little date day or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd be happy to have you guys.
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks, guys.
So yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, bye.
Awesome.